All right. 3, 2, 1. Action. Hi, I am Disco Dave.
You are.
And I'm here with Leigh Schumpler.
Very good.
I did it right?
You did it right.
Awesome. Longtime Noonan resident.
Too long.
Too long?
Too long in Noonan.
But you're not going anywhere?
Never going anywhere. I'm going to die there. I'm going to be buried there next to 7 or 8 generations of my family.
And what is your maiden name for those that might have known you in a past life?
My maiden name was Pike. My father's family owned a transfer company.
Nursery?
No. God, I
A
wish.
county?
No.
Damn.
We just drove trucks.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they sold to Yellow Freight, and those of us peons that were kind of down didn't get anything.
So you're too low in the generation pool.
Too low in the chain.
Wow.
I know. So I had to make my own way.
Yeah. Well, you did okay. What all do you do? I know, but tell the people, because you have a lot of different hats that you wear.
I do wear a lot of different hats. I somehow own a lacrosse tournament company, which my children played lacrosse, but they don't play lacrosse anymore.
What is a lacrosse tournament company?
So you've seen the game of lacrosse?
I have.
And kids go to tournaments?
Yeah.
And I run those tournaments.
So a host team doesn't do it. They pay you to put the whole tournament on.
Yeah, we have usually about 100 teams
Wow.
that come to some of our bigger tournaments. Sometimes we have smaller ones, but yeah, we do that. I do it with another friend of mine who actually lives in another state, so he avoids as much work as possible and then just shows up for the events. Been doing that for about 20 years, and for a small portion of my life, I worked for this fabulous guy in the mortgage.
Tell us about him.
It was awesome. I was
Yeah.
doing marketing and everything was great, but he couldn't afford me because I'm super expensive.
She quit.
I quit.
She quit. Yeah.
But I also was a county commissioner in another lifetime. So that background led me to do a little bit of consulting on zonings and rezonings, which led me into doing commercial real estate and commercial development.
Awesome. So I do still tell the story about the muffin, if you remember, why it's difficult to call on real estate agents. You took a very nice muffin, packaged individually, just as something to hand, a trinket just to hand when you were out, and she told you that it was stale.
She did.
Yeah. And
it's a hard thing to get certain real estate agents to buy into those relationships, especially when you're trying to say, look, if you've got clients who need to get a mortgage, we'll do it for you lickety split. And when you create those relationships, like for me, I don't sell a lot of homes because I'm doing commercial, but if I was going to sell a house, I'm going to call you. I'm not going to just say, oh, go try to get something at Rocket Mortgage or whatever, because if you're not working on my timetable, I will call you and say, David, I need this information quicker. Can you expedite this? Can you tell me what the holdup is? But
that's why you're
it's
here.
also me and you, and I'll say you need to hurry up.
Yes. All right, we're going to get serious in a minute, but I wrote some fun questions down.
Okay.
I know you're supposed to end on these, but
no.
Maybe we won't get to the serious shit.
Is it stuff you know?
No, it's not. It's what I don't know, just some interesting thing. I love the roundabout question. Coweta is just killing it with the roundabouts, in my opinion. You pro roundabout?
I am pro roundabout because, as I said in my former life of being a county commissioner, when you have red lights or you have a four-way stop sign, it stops traffic. And the purpose of having a roundabout is to make traffic continue. And so if you're a tree hugger, it's better for the environment. And if you're an impatient person, it's better for your psyche to not have to sit at a red light.
Yes. Sometimes I treat stop signs as roundabouts because I'm pro-environment.
Because you're pro-environment. When you get pulled over, all you have to say is, officer, I didn't want to sit here and idle because I love trees.
I do.
So that could work in your favor, but the purpose of it is, if we were all correct, we would stop calling them roundabouts and we would call them calming devices.
Oh, okay.
It's a calming circle, especially when you have a really long like rode, a 74, a 34, and you're off on these long offshoots on the side, Lower Fayetteville, some of those, which have these long stretches and people get up to 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, roundabout will calm you down, make you slow down a little bit. Unless it's
so you're
you.
saying calm you down because it slow you down? Because I think people might disagree that it's not a calming circle, because for me, I get pissed off in roundabouts because
People
people
don't know
don't know how to
because
enter.
people don't know how to use them.
Yes, they don't know how to use
So
it.
maybe
Which will take time.
maybe you should do an entire podcast on what yield means.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's like an assembly line, or like at Laverne and Shirley where the beer bottles merge. Like, if you can get in, get in.
Get in.
Like,
Don't
it ain't got to be
stop.
perfect. The guy's only going 6 miles an hour.
And you know what?
He can't hit you. He's got time to stop.
And what annoys me is when the person will stop and wave you on. Don't
Yeah,
wave me
no.
on. You get in the circle.
Go.
So,
get in where you fit in.
Yeah, go.
All right, let's talk about this Karen Reed trial. Never heard of it till you brought it up.
Did you go
The
look at
bitch
it?
is guilty, yes.
She is not guilty. She is not guilty.
She's
No
guilty.
chance. I have family in Boston. You give a Bostonian a gun and a title, and those townies, there's
Is
no
this
way.
a small town? Where does this happen? I don't know much about it. I watched a couple TikToks.
You can't sit here and argue it with me.
Well, I just don't understand why she searched for, how long does it take you to freeze to death at 6 o'clock in the morning? Giving her the benefit of the doubt that she searched at 6:30 in the morning.
So she didn't search. It's another person.
How?
It's Jen McCabe is the lady who searched how long is it to die. We can't have this conversation in 30 minutes.
Okay.
It'll be a sidebar, but I'm just telling you, go watch the Netflix.
But this is a second trial. Oh, there's a Netflix special.
There's
about it.
You don't listen when I talk to you. There's a Netflix special. I think there's one on Hulu, a documentary on the first trial. And then if you have TikTok, you can't avoid it.
How is it so, and I don't want to get into it, but if it's so obvious, because I did listen to some and they literally listed like 15 reasons why it was clear she didn't do it.
Right. So
I'm hung up on the search, but if you tell me
she didn't search,
do
a
it.
lady named Jen McCabe who was at this house searched. So here's the story in a short. The first trial ended in a mistrial because the jury found her not guilty on 2 accounts and they were hung on a 3rd count. And the judge said, well, then it's a total mistrial. The feds are investigating. There's a lot of stuff going on. But in general, he passed away in front of a house. The people that live in
But
that
they
house.
don't know that he passed away in front of. He was found in front of the house.
Well, eventually he passed away.
Oh.
They say he was in the snow for 6 hours, but he didn't have frostbite. But here's the crux of the whole thing. The house that he was supposed to be going in, those people got rid of their dog, pulled up their carpet.
That's that.
Sold
so the
their
house where the
house.
party was at.
Right.
They redid their floors.
Filled in their pool, sold their house. It was a family house.
Filled in the pool.
Yeah, it's all very sketchy. And then 2 people that are involved threw away their phones and their SIM cards and didn't download any information. Yeah. So it's
I
not
feel like
even
it might be tied to like other things. If they're doing all that, what's the pool guy doing? Unless there's bodies buried in
or the dog. I don't know.
The dog ate
I
them?
think that if you look at the system of of how we do things, it's if there is a doubt. There's definitely doubt.
There's a lot of doubt.
There's a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
Here's what I've learned.
There was doubt with OJ though, and he did it.
No.
So.
There's way more doubt. But here's what I have learned from the trial: that if you have a 4-number PIN on your cell phone, it takes about 4 weeks to break it. But if you have a 6-digit PIN on your cell phone, it takes 42 years to break it. And it doesn't matter what you've deleted from your cell phone; all that information's still there. That is my PSA for the day.
Yeah, like I keep saying that. We found all these deleted texts. That's the NFL everywhere. It's like, why do we even delete our texts?
Why do we even don't even delete your text?
Can they see my search history?
They can see your search history.
Even I do the Google incognito.
Somebody said if it was incognito, they might not be able to see your
good.
search.
Okay,
but
just kidding, Mom.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay. Other fun topics. What the hell is up with the 100 gorilla thing? Have you seen this? Did you know what I was talking about when I said 100 gorillas 100 people versus 1 gorilla?
Yeah.
Because I just want to argue with somebody about this. I don't even know which side I'd take.
100 people, could they kill the gorilla, or would the
That's
gorilla?
why you just make it submit, because I don't know if you could punch a gorilla hard enough ever to kill it.
No, I think the gorilla would take down a bunch of people and then get away. I don't think you could take down a gorilla.
Right, but it's a cage fight.
Oh, in a cage fight?
It's a cage fight.
No, the gorilla's winning.
That's a lot of people. Like if you pile 40 people on a gorilla,
And he's
he
going to
can't
kill them
move.
systematically from
Just
underneath.
pinch him.
You're just going to bite them. And
Oh, he would bite the hell out of
we
people.
actually have these
But they're
conversations.
waiting. You just got to sacrifice 30 people, pile on top of them and smother them, and the other guys just poke his eye out.
I'm going with the gorilla.
Okay, I'm going with the men.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're always at odds.
That's right.
It's Georgia and Alabama.
Let's see. The other thing famous here. Oh, Georgia, Alabama. Wow, you brought that up and I just let it go.
You did. I said we're always at odds
Yes.
with Georgia, Alabama.
I'm just glad that there's a new dynasty in town and nobody even cares or thinks about Alabama anymore. It's so refreshing.
Is it refreshing?
It is. It is. Pickleball. Do you like pickleball?
I have never played.
It's fun. I don't like the rules, and the people that play are a little pretentious.
A little bit.
Yeah, like,
Well, like
the
tennis,
ones that
but
are
it's
way
like-
too serious. But me and Max go out and just hit,
And it's fun.
and that's fun.
So pickleball to me is kind of the same as the tennis community.
Yeah,
You're either
I think it's
in-
worse.
You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And if you're not in, I don't know how easy it
Yeah.
is to break in.
The only thing I do like about the pickleball is that so many young people are playing too. Like Max likes it. Not that he ever wants to play a pickleball team, but he'll go out and hit the ball with me. He
But
won't go out and shoot basketball.
But pickleball is made for old people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I like it because you can just smash the heck out of the ball.
You actually participated in a race that we did for nonprofit where you
Yes.
played pickleball, which was a great race, and we're doing it again this year. Are you going to come to
I am.
it?
I told you I was sponsoring. What's it called?
It's called Beer,
Oh yeah, B
the best
E.
ever endurance race, and
Yes,
it's 7
all day.
crazy, ridiculous events that include drinking beer. So if anybody wants to come and sponsor,
That
or
was a
participate,
lot of fun.
It
yeah.
is a lot of fun.
And you can get teams or not.
Yeah.
You match people up if they don't. Kind of like golf. Is it a 4-person team or a 2-people team?
I think we did 2 the last time. It depends on how many people register, but super fun event.
And it's in the fall.
It's in the fall.
It's
It's
in the
usually
fall.
in October.
So you got time to train,
got time to train.
but you don't have to train. There were a lot of people out there that could not breathe.
Which was your favorite event?
I really like the beer chugging, actually.
I
It
didn't
was funny
say-
because so
okay,
many
wait.
young people threw up, and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, there was a lot of people throwing up.
So not what was the event you were the best at.
Oh,
What was
yeah.
your favorite event?
The
Please-
beer chugging.
The beer chugging. Because my favorite event that you did was climbing up the ropes obstacle course, because I have a video of it and it is hysterical.
Yeah, that was tough. That makes me nervous. I was mad because I could have won that event, but I had a slow person in front of me, and your send-off crew kept going, all right, next person go. And I'm watching this person going, no, they're struggling through the rope course.
We'll have to check the tape on
Oh, I'll watch the video.
We'll watch
And there
the
was
video.
at least a 20-second lag where I had to stand there and look and wait on this person. It
Okay.
was very frustrating. So
We'll go to the tape on
I'm
that,
definitely
David.
putting that into consideration. So I don't know. All right, what else we got? Let's talk about politics. We love not politics. Like, I don't care who you vote for and all that stuff. But I love what you said about getting younger people into office. No one ever thinks about that because it's almost something that you just assume somebody's going to go do when they retire.
Yeah.
Or a housewife's going to do because she's sitting at home and she's tired of the neighbor having a mannequin on their front porch.
Right. So I ran for office when I was 30 years old, which, now if I think about my own children at 30, I would say, well, they don't need to do that because they don't know what they're doing. However, it's really not that hard of a job. But we do need younger people to get involved, and I think, because if you look at the average age of everyone, I don't care if it's your city council, your commissioners, it's like everyone is older than you and I.
Right.
Mainly because they're retired, they don't have anything better to do, so they're like, oh, I'll go and fix what they think is wrong. First thing I would say is no matter what you think you're going to do if you're in office, you won't do that because you don't know the laws. That's the first thing I will tell you. Because I went in and was like, oh, when I go, we're going to save trees and we're going to do that. You don't get to do any of that because there's laws for people and property rights. And I actually, the first meeting I ever had for the county commission, the county was being sued over where the Sam's Club is.
Okay.
And that property had been for sale for about 7 or 8 years. It's just trees. I know everybody just loves their trees. But the people who love trees didn't buy it. So
Were these special trees?
no, they're just regular
Just
trees.
trees.
But
Okay.
you know who they are.
I do.
Well, they love trees.
Yes.
And so some folks came in, wanted to buy it, wanted to put the Sam's Club there, and 1,000 people were like, don't do it, don't do it. We love the trees. We don't want any commercial development out here. And so they turned it down and they were sued. And the court system said if you're sitting on a highway, a 4-lane divided road, you can't tell someone they have to keep their home there. They can't have the quality of life. And they just, made 4 lanes. And they won. So we had to zone that piece of property some type of commercial. And I didn't know anything about anything. It was my very, very first meeting. And so we zoned it commercial and they built the Sam's Club. And Sam's had a grand opening and I went, and about 40 people who had been in that room complaining were at the grand opening.
Just shopping away.
Shopping away.
So here's my question. Why did you not focus your time on getting liquor stores in Coweta instead of worrying about Sam's Club?
So that's another interesting story. Now, we got to go back 20 years. So you got to think I was 30. And I'm old now. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Coweta was...
the 1900s, aren't they?
It was. Don't say that. Coweta County was a dry county because of church.
Yeah.
Jesus and God did not want anyone to drink on Sunday, and they certainly didn't want you to drink liquor. So we all used to just drive to Peachtree City to get our liquor. But there had to be a process to go through with the state, and they finally were able to do it. We had liquor by the drink at restaurants, but no actual liquor stores. So that just passed 4 years ago. Yeah. But it had to be done by petition and state government.
So what do you think about the name of the liquor store that's right there on the interstate? You can see it from the interstate.
Bottoms Up.
Yeah. I think it's a strip club every time I drive by.
I think most people think it's a strip club.
Like, I bet a lot of people go off and they're disappointed when they walk in.
And it's not a Bottoms Up.
No.
It's
unless I haven't been in the back room. They do have a little green door there in the back that's kind of, I don't know.
Wait, so you've been to that liquor store?
No, I haven't been there, but I was watching.
Wait, why were you looking for the green door?
No, I just saw it because I was looking for the exit because I thought
it was a
bookstore.
A
bookstore. Well, I didn't even see the name, and I was looking for the books, and they were not there. I
think you have to go a little further down 75, maybe
75.
to Macon, Warner's Robins.
Yes.
Then you can find the Bottoms Up you're looking for.
That's funny. So trees, you're not a big fan of trees, are you?
I'm a huge fan of trees. If you ever fly into Atlanta and you just look out the window, Georgia has a ton of trees. Mm-hmm. And there's a crazy thing about when you develop, they make you plant new trees. So
well, you did tear a bunch down. So you got to replace them. Is it a 2-to-1? Is it a 1-to-5?
It depends on your jurisdiction. It depends on what kind of trees they are. It depends on what you're developing. For commercial, you can't really save a lot of trees, but
do they even count them, or is it just like, hey,
it depends.
You cut down 40 acres. Let's average 5 trees an acre. Or whatever.
It depends. It depends on which jurisdiction.
So they might actually go out and count the trees and go, you cut down 20, you got to put back at least 10.
So in the city of Noonan, which is the only one I'm familiar with, if you're doing a residential development, they actually will go and tag specimen trees, which are trees of a certain diameter. And if they can be saved based on the way your development is, they will make you do a tree save, or they'll make you replace. Residential gets a lot more replacement. And then today the kind of trend is It used to be everybody wanted to be in a neighborhood with a bunch of trees and that you wanted big lots. And
Right.
so today, when you see people developing smaller lots, the jurisdiction usually makes you put a buffer around that saves trees around the neighborhood, but not necessarily on your lot because tornadoes, storms, nobody wants a big tree in their backyard that could fall on their house, except for maybe you.
I do. But my neighbor asked me to cut my trees down.
And you said no.
I said no.
Okay, well, you're allowed to love your trees.
Yeah. I don't love them. I just don't
Are
care.
you a tree hugger?
I've hugged a couple trees.
That tree over there is interesting.
People think this is a pot tree. I don't know if this is making it on the camera. It is not marijuana. It's actually not a real tree. Did
It's
you know that?
It's interesting.
It is interesting. I wonder what it is. If anybody knows what this tree is, I assume it's modeled after an actual tree.
Or possibly poison oak.
I think it's a pot tree.
Okay.
Could you go grow a pot tree, or is it a bush?
I have
I imagine you are the type of person that knows
experience with
if
marijuana.
you can grow
I have no
a
idea.
pot tree.
I have no
That's
earthly
not.
idea. I don't know why you think I would know that.
Yes. Right. Man, I got good questions in here. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, because I know you have a lot of knowledge about. I want to be so blanket to call it building permits, and you do commercial real estate. What does that look like with development and anybody that's considering development, or what are issues that people what could be improved? What do you see out there with any of those random questions I just
Anything that you just asked me?
Tell us what you know. That's
Let's
what I want
see
to
if
know.
I can take what you just said and put it into a question and come up with an answer. Here's what I'll say about commercial development and about communities. I won't necessarily use Peachtree City, but I learned a long time ago when I was a commissioner that your community is either growing or it's dying. So in any community that you have an aging population and you don't provide either rehabbed, revisited houses or provide new houses, then your population ages, and then what follows that is your commercial development ages and then sometimes leaves. And so you always have to look at your community as living and breathing, and with that you want to bring in the type of development that every community wants to see. I have a hard time when I hear people say, or we'll use Peachtree City as an example, we don't want any more new houses here. We don't want new people to move here. Well, that's great because you're getting old, your kids aren't going to school anymore, which means if they're not going to school, the children's place is going to close because they don't have any young people to buy clothes anymore. The Victoria's Secrets is going to close because everyone here is 80 or 90 and they're not buying underwear anymore. So when you start
looking... That's a tree we got to save.
I'll work on that one for you. But when you look at a community and you look at commercial development, one of the things that we like to kind of bring that residential and the commercial piece together is you do need to either redevelop and make things affordable for some young people, have some apartments. I know nobody wants apartments, or have some affordable housing while keeping the majority of your homes at a higher level, because you need all those incomes. Right. Because if you don't, your commercial doesn't stay. And you're like, so what, Leigh? I don't want Victoria's Secrets, right? But you do want Trader Joe's. Yeah. And Trader Joe's is not going to come where you don't have a population that's going to shop at Trader Joe's. So we've seen a little bit in Coweta because they kind of stopped growth for a little while, that the only people that wanted to come over there were Valvoline's. If I had one more tire place, and you'd have some people say, why do we only get that? Why can't we get, I'm going to say Steak and Ale, since that's not one that's around anymore. Okay. Well, you can't get a Steak and Ale because you don't have the population here. And you don't have the population here because you said you didn't want any more apartments and you didn't want any more townhomes. So no more young people are moving here. And so when people look at where they want to put commercial development, they look at the average income. And so if you're 90% of your people are retired and they're living on Social Security, they're like, well, we can't survive there. So it's all kind of, cyclical on how it all works.
Yeah, and I've never understood I do understand, but I think it's naive with the apartments. Why people are so against apartments, because we're used to associating apartments with low income people that aren't going to maintain. But we have apartments here in Peachtree City, and they're beautiful.
They're
I mean,
beautiful.
the properties are beautiful, and to me, if I don't know how the county can manage those properties, but if they can say, okay, you're doing this, but you can't have a rent less than this, or your property standards have to be this, because people, if I was when my kids leave, hell, I might live in an apartment because there's not really condos around here, and I don't want this big house for
Right.
just me.
Right. And I understand that a lot of times what you'll have is a developer, they'll come in, build an apartment complex, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it. And then because it's already been used in 3 or 4 cycles, they do start lowering the prices and lowering the amenities because something bigger and better comes. There are ways that governments can manage it from just kind of putting on deed restrictions, like you said. You can't really dictate what somebody's going to do for price point. But
Yeah.
again, it apartments will be what they're going to be based on what's around them. So, again, if you even think back to COVID, everybody shut down but our essential workers. Well, where do you think the person that works at the food service is going to live? Because they're not going to live in an $800,000 home. And you're like, okay, well, they can just come here from somewhere else. Well, they're not. They're going to work in the community in which they live. And so there is that connotation of, we used to hear all the time about nobody wanted MARTA
Right.
because, somebody would steal your TV and stick it on their shoulder and get on the MARTA train. Like it, it, it's deep.
Easier to get away in a car than on MARTA.
It's very deep rooted and why we feel the way that we feel.
Would you call it racism?
It's very deep rooted and why we feel the way that we feel.
Yes. I'd call it racism. Incomeism. I don't know if that's a word. Incomeism.
Did you make that up?
I did.
I think you should put that on your Instagram page.
I did. Incomeism.
David made up a new word.
Yes.
I mean, it's difficult. It's not something easy. Peachtree City in itself is kind of encapsulated. You guys have your bubble, right?
Right.
And you've been able to manage it really well, but you also have an aging population. So if you just want to go do some fun research and look at the top schools in the state over the last 20 years and watch how it may have migrated from one high school to another high school to another high school, it really follows the residential development. Because, and we have those pockets in Noonan as well where a family will buy a house and they'll stay there for 40 years. And then when they get ready to sell it, they can't sell it to new people because they bought it for 40,000 and they're selling it for 500,000. And so the people that are buying it have grown children. Right. So it affects everything. It affects your school system. It affects your tax base.
It's not just the people that are aging here. The houses are aging. I mean, there's not a lot of new construction in Peachtree City, even if you wanted it.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how that develops because, I mean, there's a lot of old houses. My house is extreme. It needs a complete renovation. Like,
right.
It literally needs to strip it down. I mean, from the windows to the
walls.
I know. I'm glad I got the air conditioner on. It's the first time I've turned it on this year, just for you.
Just for me, so the sweat wouldn't drop down?
Yes, you don't want it when you're playing basketball.
Well, here's what I will say. Be kind to the people who serve on your councils and your commissions. One, they're not getting kickbacks. If I read one more time, follow the money. Look at, they're only this development because they're getting kickbacks. These people are not getting kickbacks. Maybe if you go to Washington, but no one in Peachtree City and no one in Noonan's getting a kickback. But be kind to them because these are not easy issues. These are difficult issues to try to balance. How do we collect enough taxes? How do we improve the roads? How do we keep your quality of life while also following the law and allowing people who own property to develop it commercially? It's not easy.
But don't be kind to that bitch that put all the speed bumps out just around her house just because she didn't want kids skateboarding around her house. I mean, that's why people get mad at politicians because you know that whole thing, right?
I really kind of, I knew about it, but then
it was right here in this subdivision.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you get hurt on your skateboard?
Here's the honest fact. No, I did not. But when you go over a bump in a golf cart,
yeah,
it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we said we weren't going to say
You can just bleep it out.
It hurts. It hurts. And I mean, they took them all up. It all resolved itself. But the fact that she did that self-motivated without anyone's approval and spent a lot of money, and it was just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Was the thing.
Okay, so let me just rewind it. For the most part, be kind to your politicians. Be kind to the people that take the time to serve on city councils and school boards. And I would say most people go into it because they want to be helpful.
I think they have great intentions. They have big dreams, kind of like you said. Even though they might be unrealistic because they haven't been in that position.
You don't know the
when
laws,
I've talked to people, I've been surprised that I've had people that I've known, go on that journey, and I was just shocked. I was like, "Wow, I didn't know you were so passionate." And
right?
Then they were
See,
full
I
of
think
information.
you would make a great city council person.
So, and that's why I was going to jump in and say earlier, I think it's another good reason to do it young. One, not only because of energy, but you don't have skeletons.
And I will say, when I was elected, most people still had a MySpace page, and Facebook was brand new. So I was not subject to, look at this dumb post you made, 15 years ago, or somebody found some picture I put on Instagram. I don't know how people do it nowadays, but I still think you would do well at it. And I also think that you shouldn't complain unless you want to be a part of the solution.
Right.
If you're part of the problem, get off your ass and go do something about it. And I also get really irritated with the no tax people. I have some of those in my family. I'm not paying another tax. I'm not paying a city tax. I don't want to pay any more SPLOST. I don't want to pay. Fine, don't pay your taxes, and then don't complain when you have a pothole.
Right. So the problem with that, so the flip side of that, and is that's the whole fake news, propaganda, whatever it is, where you just hear a snippet of they misuse those funds. I'm not voting for that SPLOST because they misuse those funds. I ain't taking the time to read it, but that's little seeds in the back of my head. And then when a SPLOST comes, I'm going, wow, I feel like I heard that they misuse funds, so I'm going to vote no.
Right, but
the problem is people don't do the research. We need to find people that we could trust to do the research.
Yeah.
And do a podcast about it and tell us what's the truth.
And if you knew anything about SPLOST, you would know that you vote on the things that the money's allocated for, and then your government are legally not allowed to use it on anything but what was voted for.
So that makes sense.
So
like, to make it national, like,
I don't know, not just.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, this is just generic. The only people that are going to truly watch everything that Trump says and does either loves him or hates him. So their reporting of that is going to reflect that.
Yeah.
Most of us that don't care either way and like some things and don't some, we're not watching everything he says because a lot of it's horrible. I don't know if he's doing a good job or a bad job because I'm not doing the research. So therefore, I don't know who to trust or who to have an opinion on because I don't, you just don't. To me, the only people that are truly watching it all are in their echo chambers and are only looking for the information that supports their opinion.
And it's just torn, the national politics have torn so many people apart. If I'm ever going to a business meeting, unlike you, I would never bring up the University of Alabama because I might be talking to someone who's a Georgia fan or someone who's a Mississippi fan, someone who hates Alabama, and then subconsciously I may make those people not want to do business with me. They don't know why, but it was because I said Alabama was the best college team that ever existed and that Georgia's just riding on their coattails. Like, that would upset some people. So I try really hard not to do those things. I find it so strange to be sitting in business meetings and people will just start talking about, the national politics, which I wanted to, you don't know me. You don't know my politics.
That people don't really wear coats anymore? No. So it's really what's going on right now. Like, what have you done for me lately? It's kind of what I've noticed in, sports, mostly football.
Really?
It's like,
So how do we get back to football? I was talking about national politics.
You said something about coattails and something. I was just reminding you people don't even wear coats anymore and that there's only one team that has more first round picks than losses in the last.
When I worked for David, Alabama was number one and then number one and then number one.
Yeah.
And he used to really get his feelings hurt.
I did. I did a lot because
You
it
did.
just did not make sense.
I'm proud
But
of Georgia. I'm proud of Georgia.
Hey, and I don't hate Alabama. I do. I'm not supposed to say it, but I do not like Tennessee and I do not like Auburn. But I like a lot of people that like Auburn. That's what struggled.
Don't
I
you
struggle
find
with.
it's
I like a lot of really good people that I like Auburn, and that sucks.
don't you find it strange though that grown people put so much value in teenagers
Oh yeah,
with numbers on their backs?
yeah.
Sad.
But it's also